My name is Elowen Hart. I'm 18 years old, and 3 weeks before I was supposed to start college, I found out my parents stole $187,000 from me. My grandmother saved that money over 18 years, every single month, quietly, consistently, so I could have a future she never did. My parents drained every cent of it to pay for my younger sister's dream, and when I asked why, my mother didn't hesitate. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Because she's the one who actually matters in this family." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even argue. I just picked up my phone and called my grandmother. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, but only if this story helps you believe more in the truth and in standing up for yourself. And I'd love to know, where are you listening from right now? And what's the temperature there? This is a story created by our team. Some details have been thoughtfully fictionalized, and we've used AI tools to help bring it to life. But the emotions you're about to hear are very real. Now, let me take you back in time. 3 weeks earlier, the day one phone call changed everything. I grew up in Maplebrook, a quiet town of about 11,000 people. The kind of place where neighbors wave from their porches and nobody locks their front doors. Our house sat on Willow Lane, a pale blue one-story with chipped paint and a driveway that always seemed too small for our problems. There was an old basketball hoop out front that no one had touched in years. 4 of us lived there. My mom, my dad, my younger sister, Aria, and me. On paper, we were a normal family. In reality, we were a ranking system. Aria was the priority. I was the afterthought. She quit piano after 6 months and they bought her a new keyboard anyway. She switched schools twice and they called it finding her path. She failed 2 classes and my mom blamed the teachers for not understanding her creativity. Me, I made honor roll every semester, joined the debate team, worked part-time at a bookstore on Cedar Street since I was 15. I paid for my own clothes, my own school supplies, even my exam fees. And every time I brought something home, a certificate, a report card, an award, my mom would barely look up and say, "That's nice. Allowin'." Nothing more. I remember one night clearly, junior year. I walked in holding my report card. Straight A's again. Mom was on the phone with Aria, laughing about something. She waved at me without even turning her head and pointed to the kitchen counter. I set the paper down. 3 days later, it was still there, untouched, unopened, forgotten. My dad sat at the end of the table most nights, silent, eyes fixed on his plate like the answers to everything were buried there. He never said I didn't matter. He just never said I did. The only person who ever made me feel like I mattered was my grandmother, Grandma Eleanor, when I was 10. She sat me down at her kitchen table, slid an envelope toward me, and said, "This is yours. Sweetheart, I've been saving for your future." I believed her. I never questioned it. Not once. What I didn't know was that my mother had already started draining that account months before everything fell apart. Now let me tell you about my sister, Aria Hart, 24. Bright smile, effortlessly charming, the kind of person people instantly liked. She got that from my mom. What she didn't have was consistency. She enrolled in college and lasted a year. She said the program was not aligned with her passion. Mom agreed. She tried working at a boutique and quit after 3 months. She tried social media marketing and burned out in weeks. She talked about starting a business but never actually did. And every single time, my mom had an explanation. She's too creative for rigid systems. People are intimidated by her potential. She just needs the right opportunity. And every time I succeeded. My mom had an explanation for that too. You just follow rules. School is easy for girls like you. That's not the real world. Elowen. Then she would say the one thing that always stayed with me. You don't carry the same weight Arya does. And I used to wonder what weight she meant. Because from where I was standing, I was the one carrying everything alone. That moment stayed with me longer than I expected. Thanksgiving last year felt like a performance I didn't realize I was part of. I had just been accepted into 3 universities. I remember sitting at the table, waiting, not for applause, not even for praise, just for acknowledgement. A single sentence would have been enough. Dinner went on, plates passed, conversations overlapped. Laughter filled the room. Then my mother stood up. She raised her glass, smiling like she was about to share something important. I want everyone to know Arya is going to do something incredible, she said. I believe that with my whole heart. The table lit up. Uncle Mark clapped first. Aunt Denise followed. My cousin Leah smiled and joined in. Everyone celebrated. No one mentioned me, not my acceptances, not the years I spent working for them, not a single word. My dad sat at the far end of the table, holding his fork, staring down like he was trying to disappear into his plate. After dinner, my phone rang. Grandma Eleanor. She wasn't there that night. Her knee had been bothering her all winter, but somehow, she knew something wasn't right. Her voice was calm, careful. Elowen, I need you to keep everything I've ever sent you, every envelope, every document. Do you understand me? I didn't understand. Not then. But I said yes. I will. Grandma. I wish I had asked why. 3 weeks before move-in day, on a Tuesday in July, I was sitting at the kitchen counter with my laptop open, finishing my enrollment checklist, housing deposit paid from my bookstore savings. Meal plan selected, tuition ready to be transferred from my college fund. Everything was lined up. Everything made sense. I picked up my phone and called the bank to confirm the wire transfer details. Simple, routine. A call I had imagined in my head for months. The woman on the line asked for my information: social security number, date of birth, account verification. I gave her everything. Then silence. Not the normal kind. Not the kind where someone is checking something quickly. The kind where you can feel someone choosing their words. Miss Hart, she finally said. I'm showing a current balance on this account of $214.36. I laughed. I actually laughed. Because it had to be a mistake. I'm sorry. Could you check again? The account should have around 187,000. More silence. Typing in the background. Ma'am, I'm looking at the transaction history. There have been multiple withdrawals over the past 8 months, amounts ranging from $9,000 to $15,000 per transaction. My grip tightened on the phone. The withdrawals were authorized by the custodian on the account, Mr. Daniel Hart, my father. I didn't say anything. The kitchen was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming behind me. Through the window, I saw Arya's new car sitting in the driveway, the one she got last month. The one my mom said was a great deal from a friend. My hands weren't shaking. They should have been. But everything inside me just went still. $214 out of $187,000. 8 months. They had been taking it for 8 months. I set the phone down slowly, stood up, and walked into the living room. My mom was there, leaning back comfortably, watching a renovation show. A glass of iced tea sat beside her, condensation running down the side. She looked completely at ease. Mom, I said, where is my college fund? She didn't flinch, didn't even look surprised. She muted the TV and turned toward me like I had just asked something ordinary. We used it for your sister's house, she said. She needed it more than you do. Something inside me shifted, not physically, but like something structural had just cracked. That was my money. I said quietly. Grandma Eleanor saved that for me. My mom smiled, not warmly, not kindly. The kind of smile you give someone who doesn't understand how the world works yet. Your grandmother can save whatever she wants. She said, I'm your mother. I decide what's best for this family. She stood up and walked closer. That was a custodial account. Legally. It's mine. I could smell her perfume. That soft vanilla scent she always wore to church. You want to talk about legal? She continued. Go ahead. Sue me. Her voice stayed calm, controlled. But don't forget who raised you, who fed you, who kept a roof over your head. She tilted her head. Studying me. Arya needed stability, a real start, a home. Then she waved her hand slightly, like she was brushing something insignificant away. You'll figure it out. You always do. And then she said it. The sentence that would stay with me forever. She's the one who actually matters in this family. She said it like it was obvious, like stating a fact. Then she turned back, unmuted the TV, and sat down. I was still standing there, but something inside me had already walked away. I went back to my room, closed the door, and sat on the edge of my bed. My hands were steady, my breathing was even, but inside my head, everything had already started changing. If you believe my parents were right to take my college fund and give it to my sister, comment right. But if you don't agree with what they did, comment cruel. Your opinion truly matters, and I want to hear what you think. Numbers filled my head, cold and precise, like everything had suddenly turned into a calculation I couldn't escape. $5,000 due in 10 days. Miss that, and I lose my spot. Lose my spot. And the scholarship tied to my enrollment disappears with it. 4 years of perfect grades, debate trophies, recommendation letters, late nights studying alone in the library because I couldn't afford a tutor. All of it could vanish because of one decision that was never mine. I checked my bank account again, even though I already knew the number. $812. That was everything I had. Months of saving from my part-time job at the bookstore. It wouldn't even cover the deposit, let alone a semester. I started running through options. Student loans. I would need a cosigner. My dad would never agree to anything my mom didn't approve. Emergency financial aid appeal. Possible, but slow. Too slow. I could beg. I could walk back into that living room, stand in front of her, and ask for my own future back. But I already knew how that would end. She would look at me the same way she always did and say the same thing. Figure it out. Elowen. You always do. That was the truth of it. Wasn't it? They took everything because they knew I wouldn't break. They trusted my strength as an excuse to take more from me. If I stayed quiet, if I swallowed this like I had swallowed everything else my entire life, I would lose more than money. I would lose my way out. I looked down at my phone. My contacts lit up the screen. At the very top of my favorites list was one name, Grandma Eleanor. I stared at it for a long time, because I knew once I made that call, nothing would ever go back to the way it was. Instead, I stood up and went to the garage. My dad was there, leaning over his workbench. Wires, tools, electrical tape scattered everywhere. The radio played softly in the background. He didn't look up when I walked in. What he said? Dad. His shoulders stiffened. He knew. Did you sign the withdrawal forms? He set the wire cutters down slowly and stared at the wall. The silence that followed answered me before he ever spoke. Then he nodded. Why your mother said it was the right thing for the family. For the family or for Arya? He turned then. His eyes were red, not from crying, but from not sleeping. His jaw tightened. His hands shifted like he didn't know where to put them. He had known. The entire time. "She's your sister," he said. "We're all family. The money will come back around. Allowin'. It always does." I repeated it quietly. Come back around. $187,000 would just come back around. He looked away. "Your mother thought I'm not asking what Mom thought." I said. "I'm asking what you thought." He didn't answer. "You signed those forms." I continued. "Every single one. For 8 months. Nothing." He picked up the wire cutters again like they could anchor him to something solid. "You signed away my future," I said. "And you can't even look at me." He didn't say another word. I stood there for a second longer, waiting for something, an explanation, an apology, anything, but there was nothing. So I turned and walked out. Through the kitchen, past the counter where my report card once sat untouched for days, past the living room where my mom's show was still playing like nothing had happened. Back to my room. I closed the door, sat down on the edge of my bed, and picked up my phone. My finger hovered for just a moment. Then I called her. Grandma Eleanor answered on the second ring. Her voice was warm, familiar, steady. "Elowen, sweetheart, is everything all right?" And that was it. That was the moment everything broke open. I told her everything. The call with the bank, the balance, the withdrawals over 8 months. Dad signing the forms, Mom standing there without a trace of guilt. I told her every detail in order. I didn't cry. I didn't stop. I just told the truth. When I finished, there was silence on the other end. 10 seconds. Maybe more. Then her voice came back. And it wasn't the same. It wasn't warm anymore. It was sharp, controlled, precise. "They took all of it." "Yes." "Went over the last 8 months? Your father signed for it." "Yes." "And your mother knew." I swallowed. She planned it. Silence again. But this time, it felt different. Not empty. Focused. Like something was already beginning to take shape. Her breathing changed. Slow and measured. The way it always did when she was thinking through something serious. "Elowin, listen to me carefully." Her voice was steady now. No softness. No hesitation. "That money is yours. Not theirs. Not the family's. Yours. Do you understand me?" "Yes," I whispered. "I have every document." She continued. "Every single one since the day I opened that account." Something inside my chest shifted. Not relief exactly. More like realizing I wasn't standing alone anymore. "Grandma, I don't know what to do. You don't need to know yet," she said calmly. "That's what I'm here for." There was a brief pause. "Are you safe? Do you need to come here tonight?" "I'm okay." "Good. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, my kitchen table. Bring everything I've ever sent you. Every envelope, every letter, every document. Can you do that?" "Yes." "Good. Get some sleep. Sweetheart, we have work to do." The call ended, and I lay back on my bed, staring at the ceiling. She had kept everything. For 18 years. Every statement, every record, every piece of proof. I couldn't help but wonder if a part of her had always expected this. Morning came faster than I wanted it to. I was tying my shoes near the front door when my mom appeared in the hallway. Hair perfectly styled, lipstick already on, arms crossed. "Where are you going, Grandma's house?" Something in her expression shifted. Not anger. Something colder. Recognition. Like she had been waiting for this exact moment. "You called your grandmother about this. It's her money." I said. "She deserves to know." She stepped closer. And right on cue. Her chin trembled. "Elowen, You are tearing this family apart. Do you understand what you're doing? The tears came instantly, controlled, precise. I had seen this before. Your grandmother doesn't understand our situation. She continued. She never has. She's always judged me. This isn't about judgment. I'm your mother, she said, her voice breaking perfectly. And you're choosing her over me after everything I've done for you. I watched her carefully. The trembling lip, the hand pressed to her chest. The same performance I had seen my whole life. When Dad questioned a bill, when Arya missed rent, when relatives asked uncomfortable questions. Cry, redirect, rewrite the story, make herself the victim. Behind her, my dad stood in the hallway, silent, arms hanging at his sides, present, but never involved. I'm not destroying this family, I said quietly. You did that when you took from me. Her expression changed instantly. The tears stopped like a switch had been flipped. Her eyes went flat. Be very careful. Ilawan. I stepped past her. She didn't try to stop me. She didn't need to. As I walked out, I could already hear her reaching for her phone. I got into my car, and through the window, I saw her pacing in the kitchen, speaking quickly, gesturing with sharp movements. She was calling Arya. Damage control had already started. My grandmother's house sat on Maple Street, exactly where it had always been. A small white cottage with blue shutters and a porch swing that creaked softly in the wind. Hydrangeas lined the walkway. A wind chime hung by the door. Inside, it smelled like coffee and lavender. It always had. She was already waiting at the kitchen table, reading glasses low on her nose. 3 folders open in front of her, neatly arranged, prepared. I stopped in the doorway. Grandma, how long have you had all of this? 18 years, she said without looking up. Sit down. I sat. She slid the first folder toward me. Inside was the original account document. My name, Ilawan Hart, beneficiary. My father's name, Daniel Hart, custodian. Dated the month I was born. Signed. Notarized. The second folder held annual statements. Every single year. Carefully organized. Labeled. Documented. Proof of everything that had ever been meant for me. Each document was lined up perfectly. 18 years of statements arranged in order, marked with colored tabs. The third folder held the most recent record. Balance $214.36. My grandmother tapped the number lightly with her finger. I requested these from the bank every January. She said, every single year. She looked at me over her glasses. I love your mother, but I have never trusted her with money. My throat tightened. You knew this could happen. I hoped it wouldn't, she replied, closing the folder gently. That's different from being unprepared. She stood, poured me a cup of coffee without asking, and set it in front of me. I'm calling Margaret Ellis this morning. She's the best estate attorney in this county. We are going to get back every cent that belongs to you. I wrapped my hands around the mug. Grandma, she's your daughter. Grandma Eleanor met my eyes. Steady, clear, unshakable. And you are my granddaughter. She said, what she did is a crime. Margaret Ellis arrived that afternoon at exactly 2. She drove a silver sedan and carried herself like someone who had spent decades inside courtrooms. Her gray hair was neatly pinned back, and her handshake was firm enough to make a point. She sat at the kitchen table, opened the folders, and began reading, page by page, no interruptions, no reactions, just the quiet sound of paper turning. 20 minutes passed, then she removed her glasses and set them down. Mrs. Hartwell, this is very clear. She turned to me. Ilawan, This is a custodial account under the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. That money has legally belonged to you since the day it was deposited. She tapped the final statement. Your father was the custodian. That means he had a legal obligation to manage the funds only for your benefit. She paused. Using $187,000 from that account to purchase a home for another family member is not a gray area. It is a direct violation of that duty. The room felt smaller, and, given the amount, she continued, this qualifies as felony theft of custodial funds. The word felony lingered in the air. Heavy. Final. My grandmother spoke first. What are her options? 2 paths, Margaret said. A civil lawsuit to recover the money, and a criminal complaint filed with the district attorney. She glanced between us. You can choose one. Or both. My grandmother looked at me. She didn't guide me, didn't pressure me. She simply waited. Like she always had. I held her gaze. Both, I said. Margaret nodded, made a note, then closed her folder. I'll file the complaint tomorrow morning. I'll need statements from both of you. She stood, shook our hands, and left. Once the door closed, the silence felt different, not empty, moving, like something had already been set in motion. I expected my grandmother to sit down, to rest, to process everything. She didn't. She picked up her phone and began scrolling through her contacts with quiet focus. Grandma, what are you doing? Calling someone. Who, Karen Avery? She said. Channel 7. I blinked. The reporter. She was my student years ago. Grandma Eleanor replied. Smart. Honest. Grandma, are you sure I asked? That's public? Everyone will know. She placed the phone on the table and looked at me. Not angry, not rushed. Just certain. Elowen, she said softly. Listen to me. She didn't raise her voice, but every word landed with certainty. Your mother is already controlling the story. Grandma Eleanor said. I guarantee she's called people this morning and told them this is just a misunderstanding. I could picture it. She'll go to church, smile, shake hands, and make herself the victim. She continued. She has done this her entire life by making sure no one hears the other side. She leaned forward slightly. She depends on our silence. I thought about how convincing my mom could be. The tears, the tone, the way she could shift blame so effortlessly. Even that morning, for a brief second, I almost believed her. If we stay quiet, my grandmother said, this becomes a family disagreement, and she walks away from it. She picked up her phone again. I did not spend 18 years saving that money just to let it disappear in silence. She started dialing. I sat there and realized something important. She wasn't just reacting. She had a plan, and I had no idea how far she was willing to go. By that evening, my mom was already moving. My phone buzzed nonstop between 6 and 9. 11 missed calls. Messages I didn't open. She called my grandmother too. No answer. Then the texts came. This is a family matter. You are destroying everything. Arya will pay it back. Just give us time. Time. That was exactly what she had used to take it in the first place. 8 months. Quiet. Careful. Intentional. At 8:30. My phone rang again. Arya. I answered. Elowen. Mom said you went to Grandma's. She's freaking out. She told me to come over and fix this. Did you know where the money for your house came from? I asked. Silence. Then, slowly. Mom said it was a loan. A home equity line. There was no loan. I said. She lied to you too. More silence. I could hear her breathing. Elowen. Just let me talk to Grandma. I can fix this. You can't fix this. I said quietly. It's already broken. I ended the call, set my phone down, and didn't pick it up again. The next morning, I found out what my mom had done at 9:47 the night before. She had posted in the Maplebrook Community Facebook group, "Please pray for our family. My mother is trying to tear us apart over a misunderstanding about finances. I have always put my children first. I ask for your prayers during this difficult time." By midnight, there were dozens of reactions, hearts, prayer hands, messages of support. "Stay strong. We're praying for you. Family comes first." She was already rewriting everything. That was what she did. And she wasn't going to stop unless someone told the truth louder. While I sat there reading those comments, my grandmother was in her kitchen, writing an email to a reporter with those 3 folders beside her. I didn't know that yet. I just sat in my room, staring at my phone, 62 people sending my mother support. And for a moment, I questioned myself. Was I wrong? She called it a misunderstanding. A part of me. The part that had spent 18 years wanting her approval. Wanted to believe that. But $214 in my account was not a misunderstanding. It was a decision. And I was not part of it. If you were in my place, would you believe her? Or would you keep going? 2 days later, Saturday came. My graduation party. I didn't want to go. It felt like stepping into a story where everyone already believed the wrong version. But that morning, my grandmother called. "Go," she said gently. "Smile. Be kind. Let your mother feel comfortable." There was something in her voice that made me pause, like this was part of something bigger. So I went. The party was at our house on Willow Lane. My mom had gone all out. Streamers in school colors, a banner with my name in gold letters, food arranged perfectly across the tables. Everything looked like a celebration, but it didn't feel like one. The decorations looked perfect. A large banner hung across the living room that read, "Congratulations, Alowan," in gold letters. There were catered sandwiches laid out neatly on the table and a sheet cake with my name written across it in bright icing. About 30 people filled the house, spilling from the living room onto the back patio. Relatives, neighbors, my mom's church friends, a few of my dad's work contacts. Even 3 of my teachers showed up, including Mrs. Carter, who had taught me AP English for 2 years. Aria was there too. She sat in the corner of the patio with a drink in her hand, unusually quiet. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. My mom moved through the crowd effortlessly, smiling, laughing, touching shoulders, refilling drinks. She looked like the perfect host. At one point, she pulled me close under the banner for a photo. "I'm so proud of this girl," she said loudly. "My independent little fighter. She's going to do amazing things." I smiled for the picture. I said thank you when people handed me cards. I ate cake. I played my role, but the entire time, I was watching, counting faces. 30 people in that room, not one of them knew the truth. Not yet. It happened halfway through the party. I was standing near the food table when my great-aunt Linda walked up to me, smiling warmly. "So, Ilawen, where are you headed for college? Your grandmother must be so proud." The room didn't go silent, but it shifted. People started listening, before I could answer. My mom appeared beside me, her hand resting firmly on my shoulder. "Oh, Alawan is still figuring things out," she said smoothly. "You know how kids are these days. They change their minds all the time." Aunt Linda frowned slightly. "But didn't Eleanor set up a fund for her? She's talked about it for years." Now the room was paying attention. I could feel it. That quiet pull of curiosity. My mom didn't hesitate. "That fund was more of a family investment," she said with a bright smile. "And we used it where it was needed most." She gestured toward Arya. She just bought her first home. Isn't that wonderful? Some people nodded politely. A few murmured congratulations. But not everyone. Near the window, Mrs. Carter wasn't smiling. She was watching. Carefully. Her eyes moved from my mom to me and back again. Her expression tightening. My dad looked down at his plate like it suddenly required all of his attention. My mom kept going. Elawan has always been independent. She said, she doesn't need a fund. She's strong. Right. Sweetheart, her hand tightened slightly on my shoulder. The room waited. For me to agree. For me to confirm her version of the story. I didn't. I didn't say anything at all. I just looked down at my plate and realized something almost surreal. She had just told 30 people that she took my money, and she didn't even understand what she had admitted. The party ended slowly. People left in small groups. Paper plates piled up in the trash. Half a cake sat untouched on the counter. My mom moved around the kitchen, humming softly, like it had been a perfect day, like nothing had happened. I stepped out onto the back porch. Arya followed me a minute later. Elawan. Wait. I stopped. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were red, her hands shoved deep into her pockets. That fund, was it really yours? She asked. Legally, only yours. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I had taken at Grandma Eleanor's house, the account document. My name as the beneficiary. My father listed as custodian. Nothing about her. Nothing about my mom. Nothing about family sharing. She stared at it. Her face drained of color. I didn't know. She said quietly, I swear. I didn't know. I believe you. Mom told me it was a loan. She continued. A home equity line. She showed me paperwork. She said it was all legitimate. There was no loan. I said. She sat down on the porch step, her head dropping into her hands. For a while, neither of us spoke. The sound of crickets filled the silence. A car passed slowly down the street. What do you want me to do? She finally asked. I sat down beside her, leaving a small space between us. I don't want anything from you. I said, I just want what's mine. She nodded slowly, like the weight of it was finally settling in. She lied to me too. She whispered. She looked me in the eyes and lied. Yeah, I said softly. She did. We sat there in the fading light. For the first time in our lives, we were seeing the same truth. But I knew that didn't mean we would end up on the same side. Monday morning arrived quietly, until it didn't. I heard the sound from my bedroom. Not words. A scream. Sharp. Raw. Furious. I stepped into the hallway just as my mom stood there holding an envelope. From the law office of Margaret Ellis. The sound of her footsteps came fast and sharp down the hallway. 30 seconds later, she was pounding on my door. Are you seriously pressing charges against your own parents? I opened it. She stood there holding the letter, her hand shaking just enough to look real. A formal demand for restitution. A notice of criminal complaint filed with the district attorney. Have you lost your mind? Elawan, she snapped. You took $187,000 from me, I said. From a custodial account. That is a crime. This is our family. She shot back. This is not something you drag into a courtroom. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The truth didn't require volume. You had 8 months to tell me. I said. You chose not to. This is what happens next. And just like that, she changed. The tears came instantly. Her grip tightened around the letter as she pressed it against her chest. Her voice softened into that familiar, wounded tone. I was trying to help this family. she said. "Both of my children. You have no idea the pressure I've been under." Arya didn't need my college fund. Her expression hardened. The tears disappeared. And there she was. Not the victim. Not the loving mother. Just someone who had decided my future was expendable. "If you go through with this," she said coldly, "you will never be part of this family again." I held her gaze. I already wasn't. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away, slamming her bedroom door so hard the pictures on the wall rattled. The next morning, everything moved forward. My grandmother called the reporter, and nothing stayed private after that. Karen Avery arrived on Wednesday morning. A news van parked outside the small white house on Maple Street. A cameraman setting up equipment. A producer checking notes. Karen stepped inside with calm confidence. She shook my grandmother's hand and smiled. "Mrs. Hartwell, it's been a long time. You were never a strong speller." My grandmother replied evenly, "But you always listened well." Karen smiled. "That's what matters today." They sat at the kitchen table. The blue folders were already open. The camera started recording. My grandmother told the story the way she told everything. Clear, direct, without emotion, but full of truth. 18 years of saving, $500 to $800 every month, a total of $187,000 set aside for her granddaughter, all placed into a custodial account under my name. She slid the documents across the table, the opening paperwork, the yearly statements, the final balance, $214. My daughter and her husband withdrew every dollar. She said calmly, looking straight into the camera. "They used it to purchase a home for my other granddaughter. Elowyn did not receive any of it." Karen paused. "And you are filing criminal charges against your own daughter." My grandmother folded her hands. Her voice didn't waver. "I love my daughter," she said. "I always will. But I love justice more." She looked directly into the lens. That money was never mine to give, and it was never hers to take. It belonged to Elowyn from the very first deposit. The room went quiet. Even the camera seemed to hold still. 74 years old, a retired teacher, and stronger than anyone I had ever known. Karen thanked her and packed up. "It will air Thursday evening," she said. 48 hours. In 48 hours, everyone would know. Thursday at 6 o'clock. We sat in the living room, my grandmother in her chair, me on the couch. Neither of us spoke. The segment lasted 4 minutes. Images of our town filled the screen: the courthouse, the bank on Main Street, the high school. Then my grandmother's face appeared, her voice steady, clear, carrying the truth into every home in Maplebrook. A grandmother accusing her own daughter of stealing her granddaughter's $187,000 college fund. And just like that, the story was no longer ours alone. The reaction spread faster than I expected. By 8 that evening, the Maplebrook community page was overflowing. Comments, shares, people tagging each other, conversations spiraling in every direction. I sat on my grandmother's couch, scrolling through it all. My former teacher, Mrs. Carter, posted first. "I taught Elowyn Hart for 4 years. She earned every grade, every award, every opportunity. She deserves better than this." Within minutes, dozens of people agreed. Parents began asking questions. "I have an account like this for my child. Can this really happen? I'm checking with my bank tomorrow. Is this even legal?" Most of the comments supported me. A few hesitated. There are always two sides. Family matters should stay private. But then Karen Avery shared a legal explanation about custodial accounts. After that, even the cautious voices quieted. My mom was watching all of it. I knew because Arya texted me. Mom saw the news. She tried to call the station. They refused to take it down. A second message followed. I saw it too. I'm sorry. Alawan. I'm going to fix this. I stared at the screen for a long moment. By the next morning, the story had spread beyond our town. A regional news station picked it up. Maplebrook had never seen anything like this, and it was only getting bigger. At noon that Friday, my mom responded. A long post appeared on her personal page, carefully written, carefully worded. The story you saw only tells one side. I am a devoted mother who has sacrificed everything for my children. The funds were used for our family's future. My mother and I have had differences for years, and I am heartbroken she chose to make them public. I ask for compassion and privacy during this difficult time. At first, people reacted. Support, sympathy, familiar faces. But then the comments started. Alawan's account was hers. That's the law. I've known Eleanor for decades. She doesn't lie. If it was a family decision, why didn't Alawan know? The tone shifted. Slowly at first, then all at once. The support began to fade. People who had once defended her stopped responding. Some deleted their comments. Others stayed silent. By Saturday, she was removed from the local women's group at church. The prayer group leader called and suggested she step back for a while. Neighbors stopped greeting her. It wasn't loud. It was quieter than that, but it was unmistakable. Then a message appeared in my inbox. A name I didn't recognize at first. Sandra Miller, my mom's college roommate. I'm sorry for what you're going through. She wrote, I just want you to know your mother borrowed $3,000 from me last year and never paid it back. When I saw the news, I wasn't surprised, just sad. I read it twice. $3,000. Another person. Another lie. My mom's version of the story wasn't collapsing because people attacked her. It was collapsing because the truth didn't need help. It just needed space. The following Wednesday, my phone rang. Margaret Ellis, I have an update. She said. I stepped out onto my grandmother's porch. The air was warm, and the wind chime turned slowly above me. The district attorney has opened a formal investigation, she continued. They've requested all bank records, every withdrawal, every signature. What does that mean? It means they're building a case, she said, based on the amount and the documentation. I would be very surprised if charges are not filed. My chest tightened. What kind of charge is felony theft? She replied, given the amount involved. Both of your parents could face serious consequences. Probation at minimum. Potential prison time at maximum. I closed my eyes. The wind chime made a soft, hollow sound. Is there any way to stop this? I asked. If they pay it back, restitution can help during sentencing, she said carefully. But once the process has started, it's no longer in your hands. I ended the call and stood there for a moment. Then I walked back inside. My grandmother was in the kitchen, preparing lunch like it was any other day. Grandma, I said quietly. She turned to look at me. The words felt heavier once I said them out loud. I'm scared. Grandma. She looked at me, calm as always. Of what? That they might actually go to prison. I said, they're still my parents. She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was softer than I had heard it through all of this. Alawan, you didn't put them there. They put themselves there. She held my gaze. Every signature, every withdrawal, every lie. Those were their choices, not yours. I nodded slowly. Now come sit. She added gently. Your soup is getting cold. I sat down at the table and ate. But I barely tasted anything. My mind was somewhere else. because something was about to change again. Arya called me that Friday afternoon. Her voice sounded different, quieter, heavier. Allowin. I spoke to a lawyer. My own lawyer. I straightened slightly. Okay. I'm giving the house back. I froze. Arya. The house is in your name. I know. She said. And it was bought with your money. I can't stay there. There was a pause. I haven't slept. She admitted. Every night I just lie there thinking about it. That this house exists because you didn't even know what was happening. I can't live like that anymore. She explained her plan. She would sell the house. Every dollar would go into a restitution account managed by Margaret Ellis. Clean, documented, legal. My lawyer says I don't have to do this. She continued. I wasn't the custodian. I didn't sign anything. I didn't know. Then why are you doing it? I asked. Another pause. Because it's right, she said quietly. And because I don't want to become the kind of person Mom is. Her voice broke just slightly. I won't. I didn't respond right away. The kitchen felt still around me. I could hear my grandmother moving in the next room. She told you it was a loan, I said finally. She told me a lot of things. Arya replied. Then she added something that made everything shift again. I went through the paperwork she gave me. The loan documents. They're fake. LON. There's no lender. No account. No actual loan. I felt the air leave my chest. She made it all up. Arya said. She forged everything. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My mother hadn't just taken the money. She had built an entire lie to cover it. Thank you, I said quietly. Don't thank me. Arya replied. I should have asked questions a long time ago. The call ended. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. This family was broken, but maybe not all of it. 2 weeks later, everything became official. The district attorney filed charges. Daniel Hart and my mother were both charged with felony theft of custodial funds. The amount was clear. $187,000. The accusation was clear. They had taken money held in trust for me and used it for someone else. Karen Avery reported it that Thursday evening. A local couple facing felony charges after draining their daughter's college fund. My mother hired a defense attorney. The strategy was predictable. They argued it was a misunderstanding, that my father believed he had the right as custodian, that the money was used for the family as a whole, but the records told a different story. Withdrawals spread over 8 months. 9,000, 12,000, 15,000. Each one carefully below thresholds that would trigger automatic alerts. It wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. And when Arya's discovery about the fake documents reached the district attorney, everything escalated. Forgery turned it into something worse, something intentional. My father, through his lawyer, tried to cooperate. He offered to accept responsibility. My mother refused. She kept fighting, still insisting she had done nothing wrong, still claiming it was her right. I watched it all unfold from my grandmother's living room. Same chair, same quiet presence beside me. I didn't want this, I said softly. I just wanted them to be my parents. My grandmother reached over and squeezed my hand. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. Outside, the streetlight flickered on, and the sun slowly disappeared behind the houses of Maplebrook. Nothing about my family meant what it used to anymore, but the truth was out. And unlike money, it couldn't be taken back. While everything moved forward legally, my grandmother did what she had always done. She acted. One quiet Tuesday, we sat together in Margaret Ellis's office downtown. Papers covered the table. But this time, it wasn't about the case. It was about my future. I want to set up an irrevocable trust. My grandmother said, For Elowin, no family member involved, a bank as trustee. Margaret nodded. That's the safest option. No one can access it except Elowin, and only under strict conditions: education, living expenses, protection. My grandmother reached into her purse and placed a cashier's check on the table. $42,000. I stared at it. Grandma, that's everything you have. She said it simply. My savings, my pension reserve. Everything except this house and my Social Security. I can't take that. You're not taking it. She said, I'm giving it. The same way I gave the first dollar all those years ago. Her hand rested over mine. It's not 187,000, she said softly, but it's enough to begin again. That was when I broke. For the first time since all of this started. I cried. Not quietly, not controlled. I cried like I hadn't allowed myself to in years. She didn't stop me, didn't try to fix it. She just held my hand and stayed. You are worth every penny. Allowin', she said. You always have been. By the end of that day, the trust was established. $42,000. Safe, protected, untouchable. My grandmother was 74 years old, and she had just given me everything she had left. For the first time in a long time, I started to believe I was worth it. Consequences didn't come all at once. They built slowly, quietly, then all at once. Everything began to shift. My mom lost her job at the flower shop. The owner told her directly that she couldn't keep someone facing felony charges representing the business. My mom told my dad it was because business was slow. He didn't argue, but he knew. My dad's work began to fade too. He had been an electrician for 20 years, but in a small town. Reputation mattered more than skill. Clients stopped calling. Contracts disappeared without explanation. No one confronted him. They just moved on. My mom was removed from the church group, not asked to step back. Removed. The pastor called. She didn't go. Neighbors changed. Not dramatically, but enough. People stopped waving. Invitations stopped coming. The silence around them grew. Arya sold the house. 6 weeks later, it closed. After fees, $178,000 went directly into the restitution account. Every cent accounted for. She moved into a small apartment across town and picked up extra work. She never complained. We still talked. Short messages, careful conversations. How are classes, she would ask. Good. I'd reply. How are you? We're figuring it out. She once said. That felt honest. We weren't the same, but we weren't completely gone either. The town didn't forget what happened, but it didn't attack either. People just adjusted. They changed how they saw my mother, and for someone who built her life on appearances, that was its own kind of consequence. I never asked anyone for help. I never had. That was part of the problem, but help came anyway. 3 days after the story aired, Mrs. Carter started something I never expected. A GoFundMe. Help Aloe Hart get to college. The fundraiser spread faster than anyone expected. Help Aloe Hart get to college. The goal was $20,000. It reached that in 16 hours. By the end of 3 days, it passed 67,000. Small donations. $5, $50. Some larger ones from people I had never met. Messages came with them. I was the overlooked daughter too. Go build your future. You deserve this. I read every single one, and for the first time, it didn't feel like I was invisible. A week later, something else happened. I was sitting on my grandmother's porch when my phone rang. It was the university. A woman introduced herself as Dr. Simmons from the admissions office. Allowin'. We've been following your situation, she said. Based on your academic record and everything you've shown, we would like to offer you a full tuition scholarship. I sat up straight. Full tuition. Full tuition, she confirmed. For all 4 years. My hand started shaking. We believe in you. Allowan. I hung up and walked inside. My grandmother was at the kitchen table, reading as usual. I got it, I said. She looked up. Full scholarship. For a moment. She didn't react. Then her chin trembled. Then her eyes filled with tears. This was the same woman who had faced lawyers, cameras, and her own daughter without breaking. And now she was crying. I knew you would, she whispered. I always knew. The fundraiser money was redirected to housing, books, and living expenses. Every dollar had a purpose. Later, I found out one of the anonymous $500 donations had come from Aria. 4 months passed. By October, the leaves had turned gold, and the air carried that quiet chill of something changing. My dad's case moved first. He accepted a plea deal. Misdemeanor theft. 3 years of probation. Half of the restitution assigned to him. In court, he stood there in a suit that didn't quite fit and said he accepted responsibility. He never looked at me, but I saw his hands shaking. My mom held on longer. She argued everything, that the money was for the family, that she had the right to use it, that my grandmother had acted out of spite. But the evidence was stronger. The bank records, the withdrawals, the fake documents. In the end, she accepted a plea. Felony theft reduced to a lower class. 5 years of probation, restitution payments, community service. No prison, but a permanent record. She said nothing in court. Not sorry. Not regret. Nothing. She signed the papers and walked out without looking at anyone. The house sale covered most of the money. The rest would be paid over time, with the trust, the scholarship, and the fundraiser. Everything came together. I started college on time. Books bought, dorm room assigned, a future rebuilt. On move-in day, I sat on my bed and let it all sink in. Justice didn't feel like victory. It felt like grief that had been carefully accounted for. There's one thought that keeps coming back to me. If she had just said I'm sorry. Just 2 words. Would I have stopped everything I don't know? But she never said it. Not once. And that silence is louder than anything else. If you were in my place, what would you do? Would you forgive? Or would you protect yourself and walk away? I still don't have the answer. Maybe I never will. Now it's November. My dorm room is small. A single bed, a desk by the window. Students passing by outside between classes. On the wall, there's one photo. Me and my grandmother on graduation day. She's wearing her blue cardigan. I'm in my cap and gown. We're both smiling. People ask me sometimes if I hate my parents. I don't. I'm angry. I'm hurt in ways I'm still trying to understand. But I don't hate them. Hate takes energy, and I need that energy for something else. What I feel is quieter, heavier. The weight of knowing that the people who were supposed to protect me chose not to. I'm not telling this story so anyone feels sorry for me. There is one thing I need you to understand. I am not telling this story so you will hate my mother. I am telling it because for 18 years, I believed something that almost destroyed me. I thought silence meant strength. I thought if I worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, never caused problems, eventually I would be seen. I was wrong. Silence was never strength. It was permission. And the moment I stopped giving that permission, everything changed. If you are in a place where someone in your own family is taking from you, your money, your peace, your sense of who you are, I need you to hear this. Setting a boundary is not betrayal. It is not destroying a relationship. It is choosing to protect yourself. It is building a door that only opens from your side. You decide who gets to walk through. I don't know if my parents will ever stand on the other side of that door, but for the first time in my life, that choice belongs to me. Every Sunday night at 7, I call my grandmother. She is still in that same house on Maple Street. The blue shutters, the wind chime, the hydrangeas lining the walkway. Last week she told me the porch swing needs new chains. I told her I would fix it when I come home for winter break. She said she would believe it when she sees it. The blue folders are still in her kitchen drawer. Just in case. I don't argue with that. Arya and I still talk. Short messages. Nothing too heavy. "How's the food there?" she asked once. "Terrible." I said, "But it's free." She told me to hang in there. We are rebuilding something. I don't know what to call it yet. It is not what we had before. Because what we had before wasn't real. This is slower. More careful. Maybe stronger. As for my parents, I don't speak to them. No calls. No messages. No visits. 2 months after the sentencing, I received a letter. Handwritten. My mother's stationery. I sat on my bed and opened it. She wrote that she did what she thought was right. That she had always tried to do the best for her children. That one day, I might understand. I read it more than once, looking for one word. Sorry. It wasn't there. I folded the letter and placed it in my desk drawer, closed it. Maybe one day I will reply. Maybe I won't. But that decision is mine now. I look out my window at the campus. Students walking across the quad in the cold air. Their breath visible as they hurry between classes. They all have a future ahead of them. So do I. And for the first time in my life, that future is in my hands. When I look back at everything that happened, I realize the most painful part was not the money. It was the belief I held onto for so long that staying quiet would protect the people I loved and somehow earn me love in return. I thought being patient, understanding, and strong meant accepting whatever was given to me, even when it hurt. But this experience taught me something I will carry for the rest of my life. Respect is not something you earn by shrinking yourself. Love is not proven by how much you are willing to lose. And family should never be a place where your worth is negotiable. What changed my life was not the moment I discovered the truth. It was the moment I chose to act on it. I chose to speak up. I chose to protect what was mine. I chose to stop giving silent permission for others to cross my boundaries. That choice cost me more than I expected. I lost the version of my family I thought I had. I lost comfort. I lost certainty. But in return, I gained something far more important. I gained self-respect. I gained clarity. And I gained the understanding that standing up for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. If you were in my position, choosing to protect your future instead of staying silent, would you do the same? If your answer is yes, write yes in the comments so I know I made the right choice. If you feel like you would accept it and stay quiet, write no, and if you are still unsure, write maybe. There is no judgment here, only honesty. And if this story meant something to you, I want you to remember this by liking, commenting, and sharing this video. You are helping someone else out there feel seen, feel understood, and maybe even find the courage to stand up for themselves. Your one small action can create a ripple that reaches someone who needs it most. So if you feel this message, consider subscribing, leaving your thoughts, and sharing this story. You are not just watching, you are part of a community that lifts others up.